They're really about how do I stay aligned, just like Sherry said in her very vulnerable check-in, how do I stay aligned? So I'd like to start out by just finding out who's here, who's in the room, because one of the things I know is that people that come to gather in this way are usually people who are visionaries, or people who have their own particular practice that they like to do, or they're people who just feel like they're healers, or that they see that they want to see change in the world. So regardless where you're coming from, I'd love to just take a moment to kind of hear from you who you are. So one of the things that I'd like to know is who has done Nourish. So let's open up your chat, and if you would, I think that Bonnie said it was in your upper right-hand corner. It could be different places on screens depending on the device you're on.
It's actually mostly on the bottom. Look at your tools on the bottom.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. For me, it's on the top. So go ahead and open up your chat. We're not going to open up unmuting for right now. What I'd love to do is just say, have you done Nourish the Flame before? Or have you done this this particular thing? That's right. You've done a lot of yeses. And Harry, yes, a few of you have been to the live ones. Hi, Reba. Good to see you. Yes. Well, welcome if you haven't done it. Hi, Rima. I'm so glad that you're here. And Holly, wonderful. I'm so glad again that you're here. Good to see you too, Lisa. Yes. And then the next question that I have is, who here has studied some kind of Qigong or Qi practice? Amy, what I asked was who had been to Nourish the Flame before. And so then who has done Qi practice, either with me or with somebody else, doesn't matter who has done this before. Qi practice, not necessarily with me. So we've got Tai Chi Chuan, a lot of Tai Chi Chuan people, a lot of people doing Qigong. Now I'd like to know who in this group are Qigong, are yourselves, you teach Qigong yourself, or healer, or you're a complementary medicine person. I think I'm hearing a lot of outside noise. So Bonnie, would you please be sure to mute everybody except for me for right now? And then again, as she said earlier, if you want to ask a question or interrupt me, I'm very interruptible, just hit unmute. But if we have a whole lot of different sounds going on, I'm going to assume you can all still hear me. So who here are Qigong teachers yourselves, healers, yoga teachers, complementary medicine practitioners? What else I had, I'm just curious to know who does this kind of thing. Mindfulness coaching, excellent. Yes, great. And who here is from outside of the Bay Area or outside of California? Let's say outside of California. Look at all the healers. Stephanie, New Yorker, old country. Chicago, a lot of Chicago folks, that's great. So we have people across the country. I know that we've got somebody also here from Canada, and I think we may have somebody here from France as well. And the final question I have is, who here sees yourself as part of a paradigm shift? Whether you see yourself as a leader or somebody who's contributing to mind shift or different types of ways. Hi, Joy. Yes, you are. Yes, yes, absolutely. So my sense about who's drawn to do this work together is very much who's here, right? It's very much the people who are really wanting to make a change. So this is a time, I love this, one person at a time, helping each person become more of their truth. I'm going to read some of these just because for people who are going to be watching just the recording later, I want them to know. A paradigm shift in access to justice. Mo, that's so true. That's exactly a perfect way to describe what you do. So I think that there's a momentum here that we can tap into of people who are moving in this direction. And I think that all of us here are here to contribute to that. So really what I'm looking at is how do we take care of ourselves at the same time that we expand our bandwidth. So part of the work that I do is about self-care, which a lot of this Qigong work that we'll be doing today is for, but it's not just self-care or the medical Qigong aspect. I'm not really working a lot with medical Qigong today, but more working with the part that allows us to increase the bandwidth, increase your what's called Wei Qi, which has to do with your external Qi, the energy that you emit, that people see when you walk into the room and they respond to you, the ways in which you are really you when you're in your full power. And these particular forms that we're going to be working with today are really good for that. They're really good for letting that, not only the energy start to emanate out from you, but they're also really good for increasing your, well, I would say sustainability, that ability to keep going, especially when we're impacted in the way Sherry was describing for herself, for the check-in, her check-in, you know, how we hold things and how we can really come forward and up and out. So because some of you know this, I see that several of you are Chinese medicine people, but for those of you that don't, we are in a season of the kidneys, the winter, and winter is really a time to really focus on the kidneys. So the kidneys are the organ that is associated in traditional Chinese medicine with, and classical Chinese medicine with this time of year. And the kidneys are the holders in a way of Qi, of the Qi of fear. And when we move energy through the kidneys, what we're doing is we're invoking gentleness. Some systems say we're invoking wisdom. So either way, we go gentleness or wisdom, and they could certainly go together. We could say gentle wisdom when we're moving energy through the kidneys. And so part of what we're going to be doing with the forms today is working with kidney Qi. We're working with, it's the element of water, and we're working with the alchemy of water and fire. Okay, so let's see. I asked you, for those of you who got the emails, I asked you, I sent out a journal exercise, and I asked a couple of questions. And I asked you to list 3 to 5 successes that you've had in this past year, and what the energy is that you wanted to bring forward from those successes. And then I also asked you to look at 3 to 5 disappointments, lessons that not things that you have to, that you know, not to make things feel good, but rather to look at with sort of neutral compassion what it was that feels like it was a disappointment or didn't quite fit what you wanted. And then the third question that I had asked in the journal was, given those lessons, what qualities or goals are you ready to fire up for this coming year? Because when we do the crystal generator, particularly, we're working to make our bodies like a crystal in the sense of bringing in light from around us, bringing from the Qi field, and then also refracting it and emanating it out from ourselves. So we're going to be working with those things. But I'd love you to list, now that so many of you have asked, how do I close the chat? What do I do? I'd love you to open the chat again and just write down what is your intention? If you sort of were to narrow it down from those questions, and then if you haven't had time to think about the questions, don't worry about it, just off the cuff. What is the intention that you would like to embody for this year? If you could really think of this Qigong that we're going to do as a kind of medicine to support you in that intention, what would it be? So we've got Joan already says to increase vitality. Elder wisdom, yes, Harriet, and you are such a wonderful model of that. Love for all, beautiful Marilyn, what a passionate response. Forgiveness, patience, acceptance, and laughter, Steph. Renewal in every area, to stay aligned while feeling the chaos of the world. So that sounds a lot like what Sherry was saying, Betty, and I think that's such a powerful one. Healing, thank you, Ruth. And love for self and all, beautiful Sarah. I think you carry that in your being. Who else? What are the intentions that you'd like? Embody and something, the value of my work. I'm not quite sure what you meant here, Joy. Courage, alignment, and focus. Mo, to assume that oh, that was Trish, to assume the best of those that you loved. And engage with creative activities and see family and friends more often. Openness from Lois. Discernment, presence, love, humility. Slow down and be mindful with self and others. Great, that's wonderful. Be a web weaver. Yes, that's wonderful. Stick-to-itiveness. Yes, Eileen, that sustainability is such an important piece of what we need to do to take care of ourselves. Anybody else have anything to say? Marcia, rest. Yes. I think of it, Amy, as getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. I don't know how you see it, but that's the way in which I think about it. Trust, asking for help. Marcia, you finished that thought. Good. Greater self-care, balancing joy, stillness, and action. To stoke passion without draining yourself. Rima, so important. Convey the value of emotions and free the debilitating beliefs about them. And Joy, you are an expert in that. You know, wonderful teacher and healer in that land. So these are all really strong intentions. If you haven't illumination in your work, beautiful, Joan. Allowing things to unfold in their own time. Thank you, Anna. So if you haven't done it yet, you can still think on it. You can add to that later. But these are really powerful intentions. And I think that when we have all of these intentions together in a big chi field, it becomes even more powerful. So thank you for contributing if you did. And if you haven't yet, then feel free to do it in the right timing for you. So I'd like to start out with a little bit of a warm up. I'm going to go ahead and close the chat here. And I don't know if you're looking at gallery view. I know that it was a little confusing what Bonnie was saying, because a lot of times, I wonder why I'm not being seen. Well, you can switch to active view or to active speaker or to watching the gallery. That's completely up to you. Gallery basically means everybody's there, but for the laptop, it'll say gallery and on top, but you'll be seeing the actors. It's very confusing. Zoom can be very confusing. I don't want to get into the whole techno of it right now.
And I can see you, Vicki.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much, Joan. So I'm going to go ahead and step back a little bit so that we can do a little bit of practice. So the first thing that I'd like to do actually today is just do a little stretching. So we're going to stand here with your feet hip distance apart. Actually, I think I'm going to change the angle of the screen a little bit so that you can see me better. Oops, that's not good. Okay. So you're going to stand with your feet apart, and I'd like you to shake for a minute. Just shake any way you can. Can you see the top of my head in this picture?
Yes.
Okay, and so what I'd like you to do is just imagine that you're just releasing as you shake. You're releasing any tension that you might be holding from anything that's going around in your life or globally. Notice as you do this, and it can be as vigorous or as light as you want. You don't have to be super, super intense with it. You can be very, very light. But the thing is to look in your body, sort of experience what you experience through your body that feels like there's tension being held there, and you can just brush it off. Okay, and so you're going to just imagine brushing off your body, any energy that just doesn't feel good. So this is a little esoteric or a little woo-woo. Nevertheless, we're just going to just shake, and just what you're basically doing is getting your blood to flow. A lot of times, what they say in Chinese medicine is that various types of diseases or different types of emotional issues come from some kind of stagnation. So we're wanting to open up any stagnation, get that blood to flow. She rides the blood, so we're just allowing ourselves to be available for this next piece that we're going to do. So in Qigong, there's basically 3 different levels that I call them 3 levels of consciousness, but there are 3 different levels that most Qigong systems work with. The system that I teach is a hybrid of several different teachers that I've had over the last 40 to 50 years. I guess it's getting close to 50 now. So what I'd like to do is just sort of introduce you to each of those realms. The first one, and we'll be working with that with one of the major forms that we're going to be doing in a little bit. The first one is what's called the heaven realm. Some people call it Shen. But basically what this which has to do with the mind heart. But what this has to do with here has to do with inspiration, feeling that connection to guidance. If you have a spiritual practice, it's that sense of being connected to that greater being or your higher self or God or goddess. It also has to do with perspective, being able to see everything that you need to see so that you're able to stay in that space of what we can call neutral compassion, or what I think of as the observer self. The Buddhists call it the witness, the part of ourselves that can stay a little bit apart from the emotion of the day and really be able to see what we need to see from a more neutral, compassionate place. So we're going to stand with the feet apart. And Sherry was talking a little earlier about doing the shower, which is one of my favorite ways to embody the heaven realm. So this is a great one to do if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you don't have answers to a particular issue, if you're feeling creatively out of your flow, if you're feeling like you're so bogged down and tired that you just feel like you can't quite get it going, something like that. This is a good one to just reinfuse yourself with that sense of connection and being connected to something larger than yourself. It's the part of ourselves that's able to recognize that we are all one consciousness. So you're going to stand with your feet about hip distance apart or a little wider, and your feet turned out a little bit. I'm going to step back. I don't think my feet are in frame, but trust me, my feet are turned out. That opens up the yin meridians on the insides of your legs. And the first thing I'd like to do is stand tall. So you're going to imagine lifting your crown up, lifting through the back of your neck, relaxing your jaw, relaxing the space between your eyebrows. And as you inhale, we're going to draw the arms up over the head. And as you exhale, bring your hands down in front of you. It couldn't be simpler. It's a very, very simple exercise. It's the shower, sometimes called the shower of light. I've seen this form in many of the different systems that I've studied over the years. And as you do the movement, I'd like you to imagine that you're infusing light into all the cells of your body. So you're inhaling and drawing chi up. Your energy is pulling up, and it's like you're creating a cup here of sunlight, moonlight, starlight, and you're bringing that in through you. So it's just sort of, again, reminding yourself that we are all part of a greater whole. Let's do this a couple more times. Inhaling as you come up and exhaling as you go down. Put your hands for a moment on your lower dantian, right between your belly button and the top of your pubic bone. This is the base energy center, the one of three energy centers. There are many energy centers in Qigong, but the main three. So this is the lower dantian. And I'd like you to take a moment, if you would, to think of the intention that you wrote or didn't write, or perhaps it's changed since you wrote it. Just take a moment to close your eyes. Remember what that intention is. And then take a deep breath and inhale, bring your arms up over your head. You're going to gather the light of the sun, moon, stars, planets, and infuse that intention with light. That sense of, that part of you that will know what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and so forth. And just bring your hands to your lower dantian and let it land here. Okay, so the second level, the second realm, I call the human realm, sometimes called Qi or Tai Chi. And what basically this is has to do with how we communicate with one another, how we are connected, all of us, with all beings. It's the part of us that also is our expression. So if we think of the heaven realm as being universal, we are all one. And then when we come into the human realm, it's like, yes, but who are you? What is the special facet on the gem that you represent? What is it that you bring to your world, to your communities, to the people that you connect with? Who are you? And what is your particular creative spirit, healing spirit, social activist spirit, the part of you that is really there showing up in the ways in which you show up? And when we do that, we start to think about then the energy of Wei Qi. So again, Wei Qi means basically external Qi. It's the energy that is referred to in traditional Chinese medicine that allows you to fight off pathogens and allergens. In Qigong, it's also the energy that you emanate. So I referred to this a little earlier, but if somebody walks into a room and you kind of feel drawn to them, or you feel like, I don't think so, That's the Wei Qi energy field. So when it's really expanded, it tends to be inviting, drawing people who you will feel heart connected to you. When it's really shrunken, it tends to make you more in the invisible place, or even kind of puts them more into a kind of victim mindset place. So Wei Qi is actually very important. And so this little quick exercise that is from my Pivot to Positive program, which is an online program I have for different emotions. This Wei Qi energy is all about extending that energy out. So you're letting your energy be connected from an expanded place. And when you do that, it actually creates a kind of boundary. It allows you to, I think of it, I wrote about this in my book, I called it I am as opposed to you can't. If you have a boundary, that's something that's a place of owning something as opposed to pushing things away, it becomes protective, so that which is difficult or hard, it has a hard time getting in because you're emanating this energy out. So again, we're going to stand with the feet hip distance apart. Soften your knees a little bit so your tailbone is hanging down towards the ground like a kangaroo's tail. And then connect your sits bones to your heels. And what we're going to do now is Wei Qi, is just the reverse of the shower, basically. We're going to just circle the arms all the way around. And as you do that, I'd like you to relax your solar plexus. Relax the space between your eyebrows. And just breathe with this. You can breathe in whatever pattern you want, but one I would suggest is to inhale and then exhale as you imagine sending energy out from your solar plexus and heart all the way out through your fingers, particularly your middle finger. And again, inhale coming up and exhale coming out. And then place your hands on your lower belly again and just take a moment to breathe. And again, let's tune into that intention that you have said that it's sort of, you know, I don't like New Year's resolutions so much anymore, but I like setting intentions for what am I going to focus on next. And sometimes it'll last a year, sometimes it just lasts till the spring where I reset. So whatever it is that you want to do, what is that intention? And then I'd like you to imagine sending it around you with your Wei Qi. So inhaling up and exhaling out. Let's do this 2 more times. Inhaling up, and it doesn't matter which wrist is on top. Personally, I like to alternate every time I do it. It's the opposite arm across. Inhaling up and exhaling out. And then bring your hands to your lower abdomen. Okay, good. Okay, so let's go right into the 3rd level, which I call the earth realm, sometimes called Jing, which has to do with basically your body, what you're made of, the health that you radiate. It's also got to do with your stamina, with your ability to sustain. We were talking about that a little earlier in the chat. What it is that you, how you walk your talk, how you manifest. So if the heaven realm is like, oh, I've got this great idea, and then the human realm is doing everything into place to make it happen, and then the earth realm is about how you walk that talk, how you make it happen. So for me, it was like, for example, when I wrote my book, it was I was going to have this idea, I wanted to write a book, and then I did all of these different things that it took to be able to create the time and space necessary for me to write this, basically this life work. And then I finally had the product of the book. So that's what the earth realm is all about, walking your talk, being in your power, and especially being able to sustain energy over time. So for the earth realm today, I think what I'd like to do is actually do a kidney exercise. So your feet are going to turn out slightly because I said this is winter, this is the energy of the kidney. You're going to take the back of your right hand onto your left kidney. And then, and I don't know if you're looking at me opposite or not, so just you can either mirror me or do the opposite. It doesn't really matter that much. So we're going to go over onto one side. You're going to dip down like you're dipping down into a pool of chi, and dip all the way down, inhaling, and then come to center and exhale. And my hand now is turned out, the palm is turned forward, and the back of my hand is relating to my third eye, right in the anywhere in the middle center of your forehead. Okay, so you're going to inhale coming down and exhale. The other thing I'm doing is I'm shifting the weight. So your weight's going to go in the direction where your arm is reaching. When it goes through the center, you're 50-50 in your weight. And then over to the other side, you're shifting the weight and then coming back to center. Let's do that one more time. So inhaling and exhaling. And this time as you exhale, I'd like you to imagine sending energy down your arm, across your body, down the other arm into your kidney. Okay, let's put the hands on the lower dantian for a second. And then take the other hand. So the kidney, I should have said this on the other kidney, is your lowest part of the ribs. That's where they lie. And so my back of your hand is going to be on that kidney. I'm sorry that I didn't tell you that before. Okay, so we're going to inhale and come up and exhale. Breathing in and breathing out. One more time. Inhale and exhale. Actually, let's match the other one we did 4 times. So let's do this one more time. One really last time. Inhale and exhale. And hands on the lower abdomen. And then just take a moment to feel your grounding. Just take a moment to feel that we are part of the earth, this great, massive mother that we have that's feeding you, that's sending energy, particularly through the kidney 1 points on the bottoms of your feet called bubbling wells. And those points are located right below the center of the ball of each foot. If you can feel the ball of your foot on the floor, and then right below the center of the ball of the foot, those are your kidney 1 points, your bubbling wells points. And I'd like you just to, again, shake, just gently, and let your hands move your belly up and down a little bit. And just allow any sense of tension or what am I going to do about X, Y, Z, or anything that might come up when we have a moment that's quiet, and just let that drop down into the earth where it can just compost, become useful energy. And then just stop and breathe. Okay, so that's my quick introduction to the 3 different realms. I'm gonna just check out here. I wanna do, what I think I'd like to do next is, can you all see me still? You can. Okay, I just got a message to join this meeting. It was like, I thought I was talking to you all. I was like, oh my gosh, did they go away? Sorry about that. So I think what I'd like to do now is to introduce you to the longer forms. But before I do, let's just open up the chat, or you can unmute yourself if you have any questions that you have about what we just did. If there's anything, thoughts you have, or anything that you noticed. What did you feel? What did you notice? So, did you like it? Did it feel good to you? Good, Stephanie. I'm glad that you found it lovely. Did you feel anything when you did any of the 3? And did any of those 3 have more of an impact than the others? So, Sarah, you noticed how tense you are. Betty Ann felt a release. So, Sarah, I don't know if you continue to feel tense during the whole thing or if it started to feel like things move. Wonderful, Holly. Electricity. Oh, I noticed that was private. I'm sorry about that. Knees bothered you. So Joan, of course, I'm assuming that your knees bothered you during the last one. If that's true, then don't dip down so low. Empowered, energy moving left and right. And this Wei Qi really worked for you, Sandra. That's great. Relaxing, especially the 3rd one. That's good. I think that 3rd one is particularly important for us to do pretty regularly right now, because these can be times right now, as Sherry mentioned, where we can be it can be kind of scary. The kidneys want you to do more. You got it, go for it. Let's see, grounding and energizing. And you had to focus to let go of your abs on the 3rd one. That's a good point, Rima. So you do want to stay as relaxed as possible. Love the shower, Joan. I know that's your home movement. Beautiful, Amy. I'm so glad that you felt the earth surround and hold you. Very, very beautiful. All right. If anybody else has anything to say, go ahead and say it. Otherwise, I'll go ahead and close the chat and we'll go right into the 3 gates of enlightenment. Yes, Rima, do it every day. It's a way to really tap into that incredible wisdom that I know that you carry, and to be able to also feel like it doesn't have to just come from us. That's one thing I love about the Qigong forms, is that it keeps us from thinking that somehow it's just, you know, up to you to muster and to keep things going in your will and all of that. Qigong helps us connect to energetic fields that are much bigger than us as individuals. Okay. Good. So let's go ahead and go right into the 3 gates of enlightenment. Let me double check what the time is. We're good. I think we're in good shape. Okay. So this one works again with these 3 different realms of heaven, human, and earth. In this particular form, the 3 gates of enlightenment refers to wisdom, joy, and wealth. So wisdom being the heaven realm, joy being the human realm, and earth being wealth or health. Those are kind of exchangeable in this form. Wealth and health, that's a sort of sense of abundance or well-being that can come when we're really feeling connected to the earth, or feeling that sense of support that's coming from around us. Even those moments of coincidence when you think you want to do something and then this particular book falls off a shelf and you go, oh, that's just what I needed to see right now. Or one of those kinds of wonderful synchronicities that we can experience when we tune in this way. So in the 3 gates of enlightenment, the belief is that you need to have all 3 to be enlightened. You can't be just wealthy and joyful but not have any sense of health and wealth, or sense of security. You can't be wealthy and wise but not have any joy. You need to have all 3 in alignment, as Sherry was saying, and a few of you also were talking about alignment earlier. So you need to have all of those in order to experience enlightenment. So whether you'll feel enlightened at the end of this or not, I don't know. But what I can say is it will help you line up those different energy centers in a pretty profound way. I hope that you'd like it. So let's go ahead and start. Before we begin, let me just ask you to do one thing, which is I'm going to have you stand with your feet about hip distance apart. This time, I'd like the feet to be parallel, so that's called the yang stance. But it's basically, you should feel comfortable and your knees are soft. And what I'd like you to do is just to lean forward a little bit here, and then come up with a flat back. So not rounding down, for those of you who practice some kind of stretching program that includes that, but to have a sense that you're extending your back and you're letting your weight rock back to your heels, and then the weight comes forward. Okay, so you rock back as you lean forward, and then your hips come forward as you come back up to center. And then I'm going to have you let your arms drop down. And they can go all the way down to the ground, or they can be wherever it is that you want them to be. You know, they can be at your knees or your thighs. You take care of your back. Obviously, I can't see you, so I can't give you any kind of, I mean, I can see you, but all in little tiny boxes, so I can't give you any real correction here. So what I'd like you to do is just really pay attention to how it feels for you. So again, unmute yourself if you have a question, or if something isn't working for you, let me know so that I can answer it, okay? So anyway, we're going to have the hands hanging down, and then it's almost as though there's a breeze that comes from back behind you and it blows your hands up around head level. So it just goes like this, whoosh, and then you bring your hips forward and you come up. So that's different. Take a look at this for just a second. Don't do it with me. Different from where you would be rolling up, where you're using muscles. This way we're really just sort of leveraging the weight and the placement of the weight. Okay, so we're going to use that in a moment. So the feet now are hip distance apart. Let me just change my view here. Okay, and we're going to begin with the feet hip distance apart. The arms are going to come back behind you, and you're going to imagine scooping energy from your past, from whatever's been useful to you, to inform your wisdom, because the first gate we're doing is the gate of wisdom. Now the hands are going to come forward, and the fingers are basically pointing toward one another. The elbows are out. And this, what we're doing here in this position, is we're activating our wisdom. So let's just take a moment. This is not part of the form. It's a little extra thing. And tap your fingers together with me. Just tap them until they start to feel a little tingly, okay? And then hold your palms up and fingers facing one another, shoulders are relaxed. And I'd like you just to move your hands around a little bit and notice if you feel any kind of buzz between your fingertips. Just notice. And if you don't worry about it. But if you do, just notice what it is. Okay, so that we've activated the energy here between the hands. So we've activated our wisdom. Then the hands are going to come down and the palms face your face. And this is containing. So here we're containing wisdom. This is an idea that we want to be able to know what we know, to really hold it, to be able to tap into it with a lot of presence and inner listening. So you know, there's times when we can hear that still inner voice, that observer self. This is a time to really hold that and trust it. And then letting go of anything that tells you you don't have wisdom. Any part of you that says, oh, but I don't, or I don't know, or let that go. Just let it go into the earth where it can compost. And then drawing energy up from the earth to protect that wisdom. You're going to just push straight ahead with straight arms. Shoulders are down. And that takes care of the first gate. Now we're going to go back and we're going into the second gate. We're scooping from behind us, from the past, anything that helps inform our hearts, our sense of joy, our sense of the birthright of joy. And here we're going to connect again and activate the energy of joy in your heart. And then release. And we're simply bringing the hands up in front of us. Now, instead of doing that little buzzy thing, we're going to put the hands right above the heart. And it's like a little, I think of it as like a little roof over your heart. Your hands are not touching. They're an inch or two apart. Elbows are down. Knees are soft. Tailbone's connected to the earth. Crown is lifted up towards the sky. And we're here, we're holding, we're activating our joy. And then release, just release, let it go. And then bring the hands back up. We're going to inhale here and exhale, push. And here we're protecting the gate of joy. Now, again, protecting doesn't mean so much setting up a barrier, but it's more about the boundary, letting your joy surround you. You can imagine pushing in all directions all around your heart chakra to hold and allow yourself to own that joy is your birthright, that you can claim it. Okay, then the hands come back behind you and circle the wrists. And now we're going to hang down just like I was showing before. You're going to lean forward and you take care of your back. You go as far as you want and just take a deep breath in. Look back between your legs. Exhale. And this time now, inhale and bring your arms forward and then bring your back up to vertical. And then relax, exhale. I'm going to add the real breathing sequence in a moment, but inhale and exhale. So we're going to do this a few times together. So that was the earth realm. That was the gate up, wealth and health. Okay, so inhaling and exhaling, activating the gate of wisdom. And then inhale. And containing your wisdom. Then exhale, releasing anything that doesn't contribute to that wisdom. Then inhale and exhale, protecting the gate of wisdom, protecting your knowing and your access to confidence in that knowing. Inhale and exhale. Now we're going to activate the gate of joy. And then inhale and contain. You're just creating a little roof here, holding joy. Then exhale, releasing anything that doesn't contribute to your joy. Then inhale and exhale, protecting that gate of joy. Then breathe in and breathe out, and we're going into the gate of health and wealth. We're going to reach down towards the earth, and you're going to imagine when you inhale, you're going to imagine inhaling, drawing energy up your legs, over your back, exhale, down to your hands and down to the earth. So we create a loop of energy here with the earth. Then you're going to inhale, bring your arms up. And then exhale, releasing anything that says you can't have abundance and security. And then inhale and exhale. And opening all the way around you and imagining in every direction protecting your access to a sense of abundance or wealth or health. Okay, so I want to do just a couple moments here to just do a little bit more tweaking in terms of what you're doing with the angle of your hands. So after we've activated wisdom, we feel the energy between the fingers. So again, the fingers don't touch because chi moves in the space between. Think of like a creek moving around sticks, stones, out obstacles. It just flows. Energy flows between your fingertips here and back and forth between them. And then we bring the hands here for the gate of wisdom. So I'm doing this fairly quickly. What I'd like you to do right now is hold your hands here so that they're kind of a diagonal from your head. And I'd like the hands high enough that you can see them out of your peripheral vision. And then I'd like you to move your hands back and forth, almost like antennae, right? Like you're sort of seeking where the vibrations are. And I'd like you to see where it is that you can start to feel a connection between your two hands and the base of your neck. The base of your skull, top of your neck. This is called the jade pillow. Very important point. In the Japanese healing modality of Jinjin-jitsu, I've heard that this is the point of your intuition. But what you want to do is you want to move your hands back and forth until there's a sense of locking in to where these hands meet right at your jade pillow. Okay, so just move your hands back and forth, and at some point, just imagine or pretend. You can there's a saying, yi dao, qi dao, where your mind goes, the qi follows. So you're going to just pretend, if you don't actually feel it, pretend like, oh, that's the perfect place where you create this triangle of energy. Okay, so that's the position that you want to hit. So again, we bring the arms back behind us for the gate of wisdom. We activate it here between the fingertips. We circle the hands down and up, and then you'll land right into the place where the hands connect with the base of the skull. Okay, I want to find out if there's any questions about that. Would you unmute yourself or else put it in the chat so that I know that this is making sense to you, because I don't want this just to be one way. So let me know, what did you feel? Did you feel something when you bring your hands back and forth this way? Did people lock in or not? And if you didn't, it's fine. Just tell me. Good, Joy felt it. You did lock in. Good, Sarah. Yes, excellent. Betty Ann. Wonderful. That's great. And your occiput was throbbing. That's very, very good, Connie. A buzzing at the base of your head. Yes. Yes, Margaret. Like they're two strong magnets. Okay, Sandra, so then you just want to keep going back and forth until you feel it. And like I said, you can just pretend that you feel it. And just imagine, see if you can picture in your mind's eye that there's energy going back. You might see it as like electricity, or you might see it as a beam of light, or however. Play with it. And everybody, take this lightly. If you don't feel it, it's fine. Just play with it. Anybody else have anything they want to say? Okay, good, Mo, that's going in the right direction. Yes, locked in the first time, good, Beth, and a vial of energy around the head. Okay. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and go into the next piece that I want to do. That's the human realm here. So that's the joy level. So again, we activate the joy the same way. The wisdom we're activating a little higher. So when our hands are here, they're about the third eye level. On the second level, we're going to be about heart level. But again, the palms are turned up and you're opening space between the fingers. Okay, and then the hands come down. And then they come up. And here, what I'd like you to do is to have your elbows drop, your shoulders drop, sense of opening across your upper back, and then connecting between your palms and the space between your shoulder blades. Okay, so that's the backbone of the heart. So in the summertime, those of you who've done the Lotus with me online, we talk a lot about the heart, which is the organ of the summer. And there's a concept of the cobra and the lamb. The cobra being the backbone of the heart, the spine, the space between the shoulder blades, where I'm asking you to access here now. And then the front of the heart is the place that's the soft connecting, where we feel love and experience love. The back of the spine, the cobra, if you think of a cobra with its hood spread, is all about passion. It's all about what you're directing yourself to do. Very important in this particular form, because we're talking about really carrying this intention forward through the year to come. So we are again coming back and circling, and we're going to activate joy between the hands and then come down. And here we're containing that joy and wanting to feel the palms connect. So we can turn the palms in a little bit, but I'd like you just to maybe move your shoulders around so you feel that space between your shoulder blades. So go ahead and wiggle any way you want to, and then see if you can feel your hands connect to the space between the shoulders. And then release. And come up. And protect. Okay. Okay, and then we've already worked on this bottom one, which is the earth realm. So I want to do the whole form together one more time. So let's put the hands on the lower dantian. Take a moment to tune into your affirmation or your intention for the year to come. Then inhale and exhale. Inhale and hold your breath. Exhale and inhale and exhale. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and just take a moment to hold your breath. Then breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. And breathe out. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Then bring your hands back to your lower abdomen with your left hand over the right. Okay, so that takes us into that's the three gates of enlightenment. And I'd like to run through the crystal generator once, and then we're going to do a little bit of writing. Okay, so hopefully you got the email that said to bring something to write on. So do be sure to have that if you don't have it yet. Okay, so this is the second level. So once we've aligned heaven, human, and earth this way, wisdom, joy, and health, wealth this way, then we are able to move into the crystal generator. And in some ways, the three gates of enlightenment is like a potent activation to allow us to move into the crystal generator. And the crystal generator is really working with, like I said earlier, the alchemy of fire and water, balancing fire and water, the elements of fire and water, to create a kind of a crystal energy in our bodies, to allow us to attract and draw in. So people talk about the law of attraction. In some ways, there's a lot that we could probably say about that law of attraction thing. But what I really want to focus on is the energy that we are emitting, the energy that we're drawing in, because we want to be drawing in that which helps support us in our highest growth and our ability to really show up and do the work that we're going to do, whether it's through the creative work. I know I've got a lot of artists here online, or it's through healing modalities that you do. So it might be healing arts, it might be martial arts. but to be able to really draw whatever helps sustain that and have those resources available to you, and then to emit. It's almost like crystal draws in light and then it refracts it in many different colors. So the different ways you show up in your life, the different roles, you know, whether it's mother, child, grandparent, business owner, social justice activist, artist, whatever it is, that it comes out, the different colors of the rainbow come through you, so that you show up with that sense of light being, a vibrational being in these different areas in your life. So the crystal generator is very much of a manifestation form. And this is a form that I actually recommend people do on the full and the new moon, which we're not obviously in either one of those right now. The next full moon is on Friday. But as we move towards the full moon, this is a good one to be practicing. Okay, so I'm gonna, this is a seated form, so you can go ahead and sit down. I'm gonna bring a bench over. Okay, so you're gonna sit. You can sit with your feet on the ground, or you can sit cross-legged. Whatever feels right for you is all fine. And we're gonna take the left hand underneath the right. So the back of the right knuckles is going to connect the inside knuckles of the left hand. And we're going to just relax the jaw, relax the space between the eyebrows, and breathe. And what I'd like you to do again is to land with your intention, but I'd also like you to imagine that you're taking this form in as medicine to be able to really support you in what I was talking about, drawing in that which will support and sustain you over time. Because let's face it, folks, we're kind of in this right now for the long haul. There's a lot of different kinds of chaos that might be swirling around us, either in our private lives or globally, or both. And to be able to really have that sustainability, this is the medicine that really helps that, particularly when it's practiced in conjunction with the new and full moon. Or as I said, we're building up to the full moon right now. So it's a good time to be practicing this. Okay, so we're going to sit tall. So when I say sit tall, what I mean is to lengthen the space in the back of your neck so that your chin is not up, but rather the top of the head is lifted. The shoulders are down. And you're going to take some nice big full breaths into your lower abdomen. And as you breathe, you might even feel energy moving in your lower back. Okay, so we're going to begin by bringing the hands up underneath the heart. Inhale. And exhale. And you just breathe and just rock those hands down into your lap again. So I'm just doing that right now just to ground it. That's not actually part of the form. So you just take the heart energy that you have and just let it really ground here in your lap. I don't remember if I said left hand under the right or right under the left. I realized it's the right hand under the left. I'm very sorry. Right hand under the left, just as I was going to start that form. So here we go. We're going to start with the left hand. So those of you that have done Blossom in the Spring, this is the same as the ending of Blossom in the Spring. So we're going to take that left hand, comes up through the center line of your body, up from your throat, and all the way out in front of you. And then we're going to take the second hand up and out. And so what that particular movement is, it's about tuning into yin and yang, the cycles of yin and yang, to be able to be with what is possible when we're in that balance. So it's really embracing the impossible, being able to embrace going beyond what we think we can. Then we take the outside edges of the hands into the crook of the hips and legs. And what I'd like you to do here is just to feel like you're really connecting to the grounding, your grounding, right where your hips and thighs meet. And I often think about this as like if you've ever been camping or you've ever built a fire out in the woods, you want to clear the area first of stuff. So this is a sense of kind of connecting with the ground, clearing your foundation, clearing your base. So just having a sense here that you're just clearing. Then your hands come onto your back, and I'm going to turn my back in a moment. But what we're doing here is we're pointing the fingers up to the back of the neck. So I'll show you what I mean. So your palms are turned up, fingers are pointed towards the base of the skull, and you're just holding here. Your hands are about where your kidneys are, and again, the kidneys are at the base of your ribs, of your floating ribs. So your hands are right, like almost cradling the kidneys, and of course the adrenal glands rest on the kidneys. So one of the things that this posture does is it helps to really relax the adrenals, the fear, the fight, flight syndrome. So just let your hands be here and just take a moment. And this is almost like you're building up like the structure of a fire. So remember, I use the campfire image. We're just creating the sticks and placing them in such a way that will be a good structure to support the fire. Then we're going to take the hands, and the outside of the hands going right here on either side of the belly button. So before we were right where the hips and the thighs meet. Now where we are is right on either side of the belly button with the fingers pointing down. So this is the ovarian or testicular palace that we're activating here, which correlates to the second chakra. And what I'd like to do is squeeze and release the muscles of the pelvic floor a few times. Just squeeze and release. And Kegels, for those of you who do that, squeeze and release. And then just relax and breathe. You want to have a sense of heat starting to build. So this particular posture, it's kind of an asana, I guess, where you're basically lighting the fire. So you've cleared the surface, you've built the structure, and now you're lighting that fire. And so here what we want to imagine is that we've got a nice fire starting to burn. And we want to imagine that there's a pot of water seated on top of that fire. And we want to have that fire grow so that that water begins to boil. The way we do this is we start with the left hand, and it comes all the way around behind you. So I'm using, and this does matter, so do use your left hand first. I don't know, again, if you're mirroring or not. And bring that energy into your lower dantian, and then do the same thing with the right hand. So starting with the left, and then the right. And what I'd like you to imagine that you're feeding that fire with is whatever feeds your sense of passion or self-care. Either one is fine. But you want to have a sense of, maybe it's writing in your journal. Maybe it's taking time off for the season. Maybe it's making sure you get enough sleep or eat the right foods. Maybe it's connecting with people that you really care about. Maybe it's doing volunteer work, working with organizations that you believe in. Whatever it might be, feeding you. It needs to feed you. It needs to make you feel like you're supporting yourself, supporting your passion, and also taking care of yourself. So this is not for those of you who are social activist junkies, and you know who I'm talking to, where you're just doing stuff to avoid yourself. This is really about doing stuff that you feel feeds you as it feeds the planet, right? It's that oxygen mask on your own face first type of thought. So once we've got that, we do that 9 times on each side, which we just did. That we're going to imagine there's a robust boil happening here on top of this flame. So that's where we're working with the alchemy of fire and water, which turns into steam. And so that steam then begins to rise. So you're going to turn your palms up towards your face, and you're going to lift your hands up towards your chin, and then you're going to bring your hands forward as though you're piercing through that steam and opening up your hands out to the sides. Now, please adapt this if you have shoulder injuries. Adapt this for whatever you might need. But what we're going to do now is we're going to use that steam basically to melt away any masks that we might have. So you know how sometimes when we're in our lives, you can kind of get tense in your face? This is about removing that tension. You're going to start with the right hand. So on the lower part, we started with the left. On the right hand, was going to brush by your face, and you're going to imagine that the mask or any hardness in your face is softening, and you're going to just let that hardness drop down to earth where it can become compost. Then the other hand comes and goes to the opposite side of the face and does the same thing. And as it does, the back hand turns up. So watch my hand. So now I have one palm up, one down, palm down. Right hand goes by the left side of the face. And then the left hand goes by the right side of the face as the right hand turns up. So we're removing the mask, any projections that other people might put on you, or projections that you might put out about yourself that aren't quite true because you don't feel secure for some reason. This is a sense of really taking away anything that we sort of put out that is not authentic to who you truly are. So removing those projections, internal ones that we put out, external ones that others put on us, one at a time, just really releasing and allowing our face to become naked, to become pure, to become truly who you are. So we do this also 9 times. Right hand comes by the face, the left hand turns up. I think this is 8. And then the same thing on the left side. And then one last time, right hand, and then left hand. Okay, so then turn both palms up now. And the hands are going to come up over your head. Lace your fingers, press your palm heels together pretty tight. Shoulders are relaxed, and as you breathe, relax your jaw, relax the space between your eyebrows. And you're going to imagine becoming like a crystal. So what we've done is we've prepared our body for this moment. And now we're saying, yes, I can draw in potent energies from above, around and below to become like a crystal, so that we're sustaining energy and we're also being able to be very powerful in terms of the energy that we emit. Then you bring your hands down in front of your throat. So this part here is about opening up your voice. Particularly, many of the people on this webinar are women, if not everybody, I'm not sure. There may be a couple of trans women and trans men here as well. So gender, I don't want to make it too much about gender. But what I want to say is that for those of us, for whatever reason, have had our voices silenced or have felt silenced, this is a time when you're really saying, no more silence. I'm going to speak. I'm going to let myself be who I am. And then the right hand comes over the left, and we're going to bring the hands down to the lower dantian. Right hand over the left, holding energy into that lower dantian. And then that's the end of the form. Okay? So let me go ahead and open up for any questions. You can either unmute yourself or put it in the chat, but I'd love to hear from you. Anybody have anything that they want to say or anything that they want to write? Let me know what you experienced with that form, if anything, or if you have any questions about it, how to do it, what it means. I know a few of you were here for last year's practice. Does it feel familiar? Does it feeling right? Do you feel, is it working for you? Talk to me. So you got confused on the palms up and palm down as we were working with our mask. You and so many other people, Betty Ann, I'm so glad you said that. So you'll notice that when somebody asks something, it probably will be a question that you might have. It is a little bit confusing, and we are going to do it again. But the bottom line is that if you think about when you're brushing your face, and then you're going to take that hardened clay and you're going to dump it into the earth. So you brush your face and the palms down. The back, and then when you're wanting to bring it to brush your face, you're turning it up. So you're taking heaven energy basically to take away that tension, and then dropping the tension down into the earth. You're connecting with the heaven realm to cleanse, and then drop it down there. I know you can't see my hands, so we do it a little further back. I hope you can see me here. So palm is turned down when we're dropping the energy. The back hand turns up so that we can gather heaven energy to clear that. Takes a little bit of practice, and we are going to do it more than once, but I just wanted to check. Any other questions that anybody has? Oh, I have some other things coming up. Let's see. Good. I'm glad even in the newness it felt good, Sarah, and that it feels right to you too, Sandra. Sometimes we're right over left over the dantian and sometimes left over right. How to know when to do which? Great question, Amy. So there's a lot, I could probably do a whole webinar on just this very question. In this particular one, what we're doing at the end when you bring your right hand over your left, it's about containing the energy. They say that the left hand is yin and the right hand is yang. In some of the people I've studied with, say women are yin and men are yang. I really object to that. I think that that's absolutely inaccurate. I think we're all both. And so what I do is, as opposed to having women put their left hand on top and right hand, men put their right hand on top, which you may hear in some systems if you go to other Qigong teachers. What I believe is that the left hand, being the yin hand, is the one I want to use to cover the right when I want to listen inside and just sort of check in with what's going on internally, how I'm experiencing that. So that's what we did in some of the shorter forms earlier. At the end of the crystal generator, you want to contain it. You want to hold that crystalline energy. So that's the yang hand, which is the one that's holding the form, holding that energy. It's the containment. So that's why I choose left over right and right over left. Thank you for that question, Edie. That's a great question. Let me see who else is saying stuff. Oh, good. It's more comfortable than previous years. Wonderful. And so, Betty Ann, I hope that helped. Oh, good. So, Rima, I think I answered your question. Can I show the hand position at the ovarian palace versus the other one, maybe closer to the camera? I see what you're saying. Oh, good, Rima, I'm so glad. Was there something about how long to hold the clasped hand over the head? You're very wise, Lisa, to ask that question. So we are going to go into a little bit more depth. I obviously don't have time to do it as in, normally just so you know, I used to teach these two forms over the course of a week, and then I did it over a weekend, and then it became a day, and now I'm trying to cram it into 2 hours. But basically, we will be going over it again. But when the hands are up over the head, that's a count of 36. And when it's in front of the throat, it's 18. And then over your lower dantian, it's 9. So it's 36, 18, and 9. And those are very specific and meaningful numbers within the context of Qigong. I can't get into too much about explaining that right now, but that's just that's the protocol. So does that help, Lisa? Great, good. Okay, anybody else? Let's see, there's one more. Chat. Okay. Oh, good. Thanks. So to answer Connie's question about the ovarian palace. So let me just go again. That we started with our hands. We started with the left hand and the right hand doing the circle. Then we were at right where the hip and the hip and the leg meet. When we're at the ovarian palace, I'm as close as I can get with stay in frame here. It's different from here to here. Just think about making a V on either side of your navel center. I think that's going to answer your question, Connie. Let me know if it doesn't. Let's see it. You're pointing down. At beginning when you're pointing down versus to the lower dantian. Yeah, so they're not parallel. It's more like a V. It's almost like you're creating a V, like a funnel, going down towards your perineum on either side of your navel. So that's the outside edge, what's called the knife edge of the hands, right on either side of the belly button, pointing down. I hope that does it for you. Any other questions? Okay, I'll take that as a resounding no. Okay, so I'd like to do a little bit of a writing exercise now. Let's see. Let's take I'm going to take maybe 10 minutes. So go get, if you don't have your writing materials, please get them. Hi, Lois. You look so good right there in front of the Christmas tree. Okay. This is the first writing exercise that I'd like you to do. And I'm going to give you maybe, Bonnie, if you would time this for me, I'm going to give them maybe 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to write.
Okay,
or you got it?
Yep.
Okay, so great. So the first thing, just write this down. This is a prompt. When I think of intentions for the year ahead, I know in my deepest wisdom that. So when I think of my intentions for the year ahead, I know in my deepest wisdom that. And then just fill in the blank. Just, you can write lists, you can write it as bullet points, you can write full sentences, but just let yourself, the main thing is just to keep writing, don't stop. Just keep writing and see what comes out.
Say it again, Vicki, please. When I think of my intentions.
For the year ahead, I know in my deepest wisdom that.
Okay, thank you.
Are you keeping time, Connie? Bonnie? I'm sorry, not Connie, Bonnie.
7 seconds. That's time.
Okay, so bring it to a close. And of course, you can always go back to it if you need to. So I have 3 more short writes that I'd like you to do. So again, 1.5 minutes or 90 seconds. The second one is, what matters most to me about my vision is. What matters most to me about my vision is.
Thirty seconds. Time.
Okay, so bring it to a close. And 3, the third question is, I forget or ignore my wisdom or my passion when I forget or ignore my wisdom and my passion when, it doesn't even have to be when it can be when, it could be something else. I forget or ignore my wisdom or passion when.
30 seconds. Time.
Okay, last one. Ready? Just finish up your last one, what we just did. And the last one is, I can keep this from happening by. I can keep this from happening by.
30 seconds. Time.
Okay, good. All right. So normally what I was planning to do was to have us go into some breakout rooms so that we would have 4 people in a group talking. But Bonnie, from what I understand, that's not working. The breakout rooms are not working. Is that
Yep,
true?
it's true. I've been working behind the scenes the whole time, and yeah, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. This is definitely a day for improvising for me. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I actually feel like it is important to take a little time to articulate some of what you wrote. So I think what I'll do is instead of, since we can't go into breakout rooms and I don't think we have time for everybody to speak, although we might, what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask the same thing that we've been doing, which is to either write in the chat some thoughts that you came up with that you feel will be helpful for you. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of the method behind my madness. When we start to work in this way with writing or speaking or naming, and then add that to the Qigong, I find that it's synergistic. I mean, I've been doing this work for so long, and what I found is that the more we can be really articulate about what it is that we're intending and then embody it with these practices, that it raises the ante. It just makes it more palpable and also helps take it over time a lot more. So that's part of why I want to do this way. I regret that we can't have these breakout rooms. I was kind of counting on it. So what I'd like to do instead is I'm going to just say, let's go ahead and do the same thing, which is you can go ahead and write something in the chat or unmute yourself and talk to us. Go ahead and like I said, write in the chat whatever feels important about those 4 questions, right? So the 4 questions about what your intentions for the year ahead, you know in your deepest wisdom that, and that what matters most about that vision and what stops you is, and what you can keep, do to keep that from happening is. So just go ahead and I'd love you to unmute yourself if you feel like you'd like to use your voice.
Yeah, Vicki, it's Joan. I would like
Yeah.
to ask a question about the last one. I can keep this from happening by.
Mm-hmm.
Struggle or find any blockage or stoppage in the questions.
I can stop ignoring or forgetting about or my wisdom and passion by the way I can keep it alive
I couldn't get clear on what it would that would stop me or keep me from letting this happen again and again.
Okay, well, so some suggestions. Anybody have any ideas of like what you felt like? Keep it from. Let's open it up because I have thoughts that have me. So anybody have any ideas?
Yeah, I do.
Yes. Who is this?
This is Connie.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I said would help me keep it from happening again, is to not set myself up, to be more mindful before I open my mouth, for example, about something that I'm going to say that may trigger somebody, which will then in turn trigger me.
Okay. So being more mindful is one. Who else has something that they would say? What, how do you keep yourself? Yeah. So Eileen wrote, remember my younger self before technology ruined my good habits. Boy, is that a message for me today or what? Yes. Well, actually to invoke our younger, maybe more willing selves. So Ruth says, I know I have everything I need. What blocks me is worrying about what I think I should do or what other people think. So maybe bringing that focus then back to yourself. Reba says a lot of this is about energy management for me and focusing on how to empty my cup, ignite joy as a fuel. For me, I think when I think about what do I do that keeps me from forgetting my wisdom, is that I go to my journal. My journal is one of my best ways to do it. And then after the journaling, I almost always follow that with some qigong, so that it gets embodied, so that my body remembers even when I don't. You know, those times when, I don't know, those of you who are up in my age range, let's say over 50, over 60, where you'll go into a room and you can't remember what it is that you went in there for. What I found, one of the things I found myself doing is that I would go into a room, I'd forget why, but then my body would start to do something like this, like, oh yeah, it was to get something to drink. So a lot of times I find my body is the thing that informs me the most or reminds me the most. Accountability partner or mastermind to reinforce, plus quality time in nature. I love that, Harriet. I think that's another great way, is to connect with people that you trust or that you feel connected to, or to be in nature as a way. So Joy, one, about your intention. It's the most powerful of any you've had, that your confidence is very high, and I recognize the fear that's there that I'll not be able to pull it off. Success has never come easy to me, and I can sense my fear. Beautiful. It's beautiful. So the intention. Are you saying so? Then, what is it that you do when you're in that place? I think I know, because I know you and the kind of emotional work that you do. But let's write something about what your answer was for yourself. Sandra says, stay on track. Be aware of what's going on around me. Don't let circumstances of life pull me off track. Marilyn says, and focusing on what's meant for me and not worrying about what's meant for someone else. And I pray and do qigong. Yes, me too. Stephanie, to move thoughtfully and carefully, knowing that many people are quite wounded, and act out of that suffering. That's a very bodhisattva type of statement, Stephanie. Really beautiful to be able to stay in that place of compassion, particularly during these times where we're so polarized. Rima says, every sentence I wrote in the last question started with pause, and I love it. So a variety of forms to pause. And gardening, says Stephanie, and I know you've got a beautiful garden going. Judy says, the most important path to create for me is to stay grounded in my body, create connection, do qigong. Yes. Antidote from Joy, daily practice, spiritual connection, meditation, prayer, qigong, emotional honesty. Margaret, going out in nature, playing music. Lisa, get enough sleep. Amen. Which means staying, Netflix, the easy to binge on Netflix. I know that one a lot. And Beth, I think you started with something. Yes, it's good to know.
Mine that came out is so basic and so simple, is to get out of my chair. You were talking about people over 50 or 60, over 70. is get out of my chair, because I'm either working at the computer, then I get up and go sit down and watch something on television in a zero balance chair. And I know that that just hampers my energy and my ability to do anything. So that's, and I've started a new exercise program. I get out of my chair and on the rebounder at least 25 minutes a day, and that's already helping.
Great. So Betty Ann says, so true, Sherry. So, anybody else want to say something about this exercise or about what you discovered or what you think about it? I'd love to, just to share their wisdom. And Joan, did anything get triggered for you? Or
Oh yeah, you should see my list. It like was, whoa, that's it. I had meditation and a couple things like that, but whoa, yes, and thank you, Sherry. Get out of my chair. Yeah, they talk about the sitting is the new smoking, and I'm like, oh, that's right, duh, yes.
Oh, I haven't heard that. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful.
Well, my anti-cancer group, that's what they're talking about all the time. Get your little tushy on that rebounder. Get your butt out of the chair.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you,
And there's
Sherry.
so many opportunities to do that, of course. And then there's always Qigong. I love, one of the things that I love about us not being in breakout rooms is that we get to all hear from one another, or those of us who are willing to share. Is there anybody else who has anything that they'd like to say? Right, because I think there's something about the collective wisdom of this group of people that's just really beautiful. Oops. So we got something here from Beth. Can keep myself from getting off track with my intention by staying focused on my intention and reminding myself why it's so important. Yes, Amy, that was Beth. That was so good. The why behind it really matters. Amy, taking 100% responsibility, which I love. It's the ability to respond for everything and everyone in my life, to which I remember my true nature of love and forgive myself for forgetting it. Very compassionate. Joan, walk your dog. Let's not do any crosstalk, but I know that you've been doing that with your grandpup. So Rima says you've just come off of a 2-week break, and connecting with my family helps me remember who I am and that love is all that matters. I too often put off this most nourishing connection for me because maybe it unlocks my inner child. It really helps me embody this knowing that it's something I have to do every day. Yes, remembering to hug your kids and your partner, Reba. Yes, yes.
And breathe. You just did this big deep breath and out, and I went, oh yes, breathe. Hello.
What a concept.
Yeah, what a concept. Yeah.
Yes. I love everything everybody's saying. It's just resonating as a big yes to me. So it's fantastic. Anybody else have anything that they want to say or name about this process? Because this may not have rung true for you, and I like hearing from everybody. So please don't stop yourself from speaking or writing. Remembering that you have resources. Yes, Connie. Yes, I know. It's such a big one. All right. Okay. Well, so then let's just do this. Let's just do this next piece, because I noticed that the time is marching on. So what I'd like to do now is, I think I've asked all of you to get a water bottle or water glass, something with water in it. Did everybody get that? I'm hoping that there's a big resounding yes. I'm seeing some nods. That makes me happy. Okay. So what we're going to do is, this is a practice that I've done every year. That I've done every single year for Nourish the Flame. And I've actually, although I've been doing this in the Way of Joy system for 19 years, I've been actually doing these practices even longer. But with the water bottle, this particular piece comes from Mr. Owamoto. Some of you probably know of his work. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but he's done a lot of experimentation with water and the nature of water and its ability to absorb emotions and intention. What he did was he took water, and he would have people beam or write what we're going to do, write a word and put it on the water. And he did different words, whether it was hatred, anger, superiority. And that created when it would freeze the water, and it would create these crystals that were really malformed and really distorted. But then when he had people beam into the water, love, connection, whatever, community, caring, then the water would create these most exquisite crystals. So I recommend that you look them up on YouTube. You can see some movies and see some of what the crystals were that formed. He had people doing it in some of the waterways in Japan, so they would go and meditate over some of the more polluted streams and stuff. Very, very interesting work that he's been doing. So I want to, given that we are 80% water, I wanted to imbue some water with what I would say is a quality, not so much the intention that we wrote at the beginning, but a quality of what you want to carry into, let's say, into the full moon, if not for the whole year. So, oh, Sarah, I see that you wrote something. I'll look at that in a second. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to take a piece of paper and write on it what the word is of a quality that you, remember I talked about Wei Qi and that people respond when you walk in a room when your Wei Qi is really expanded. What is the energy what is the quality that you want to have? Is it compassion? Is it creativity? Is it inspiration? Is it sustainability? Is it passion? Whatever it might be, write it on your piece of paper. And sometimes people ask, well, what if I have more than one? Then write more than one. It's fine with me because they're all about you. It's all about you and what you need. And then you're going to take that piece of paper and you're going to just tape it onto your glass or bottle. Okay. Everybody able to do that? Any problems, any questions about that? You just press unmute and let me know. Great. Some of you are already set. That's good. And that's good, Sarah, that people were able to name stuff and help sort of open up your own thought pathways about those different ideas. Okay. Here's a pen. Okay. All right. So I'm hoping that you've all done that. So what I'm going to do, you probably can't see, I've written vision on mine. And what I'd like you to do is just hold your glass or your water bottle for a moment in your hands. So your palms are big energy centers, and those of you who do Reiki or other types of healing know this. What we're going to do is we're going to just hold the palms over the water with the word that you wrote. And I'd just like you just to imagine what that feels like for you, whatever that word is. All right. And then I'd like you to just drink some of the water. Okay. And then if you would, if you feel willing, go ahead and put in the chat what your word is, what your quality is. Or say it out loud. That's fine too.
My word has been since the get-go, vitality.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Trust, forgiveness, vitality, as you just said, Joan, ease and welcoming. Stephanie, miss you, my sister. Allow, go slow, Mo, value, renewal, authenticity, open and sharing wellness, trust in myself, courage, radiance, patience, kindness from Trish, patience from Eileen, radiance from Margaret, courage from Judy, openness from both Marcia and Lois, great minds think alike, humility from Lisa, joy from Reba, authenticity from Sarah, renewal from Beth, value from Joy. I think I've said everybody who's written. If I haven't, please unmute yourself and speak it. I'd like it to be the resonance of the vibration of the sound of your word to be heard. Joy from Reba, inspiration from Holly. Okay. If you haven't written something, would you please name it? Would you just unmute yourself and name it if you're willing? And of course, if you need to keep it private, then do that. That's absolutely fine too. We got patience, confidence, and joyfulness from Amy, Marilyn, happiness. Okay. All right. I'm going to assume that everybody who wants to speak or name it has. So what we're going to do now, we're going to finish, we have 20 minutes left. So what we're going to do is we're going to finish with the 2 forms. But before we do, what I want to say is that if I mentioned that this would be good to repeat on the full moon. So I'm going to be sending this video out. You can follow particularly the end of this session to do it if you'd like on the full moon on Friday, which is at 11:21 a.m. Pacific time. So you can adjust for wherever you are in the country or outside of the country. The other thing I'm going to say is that I'm going to actually do a live follow-up webinar for those of you who are interested. I'm calling it Sustain the Flame. I want to kind of create a practice where people do this on the new and full moon. So I'm going to just do a live webinar on the full moon at 11 to 12 this coming Friday. So if you want to know about that, I'm going to be sending information about it in a follow-up email. I really think it's important that we take some of these practices, embodied practices particularly, into the year to come. There's a lot of volatility happening. This is something that I think that we can do for ourselves and for one another, because one of the things you may notice is that as we do the Qigong particularly, there's a Qi field that starts to happen, and that Qi field radiates out. So we've got people in the Midwest and East Coast and Canada, maybe in Mexico, I'm not sure, in France. We have people all around who are joining in this sort of real-time practice that creates a Qi field that we can actually draw from, and we can draw from it during those days when things feel hard or when they feel challenging, or even when they're feeling really great and we want an extra boost or we want to have a sustaining of that feeling. So Sustain the Flame is this webinar will be help to follow that up. But if you really want to do it, I suggest that you think about joining the Way of Joy community. I'm doing an immersion program for 5 months. And in that 5 months, people will be meeting every other week online. I'll be doing streaming classes like this. There's a lot of work to be done and to open up. What is it that would take to have joy become a fuel in our lives? That central Dantian that we're working with the 3 gates of enlightenment. What can we do to sustain that? What can we do to feel one of the things I loved that Kamala Harris used to talk about was becoming a joyful warrior. And I think that that's what I'm looking at, is how do we become joyful warriors, not in the sense of making war, but in terms of really committing ourselves to the change that I think is happening, that is being birthed right now, as all of the things that are difficult and painful and scary come unearthed. There's also a rising tide that's raising all boats. And I think that's really what I want to help, or not help, I want to be part of that tide. And I think all of you are too. So if you'd like to join the Way of Joy community, women's community for that, I'd love to have you there. I'll be sending information about how to do that too. And the final thing that I'm offering is that if you'd like to just have a Tao reading to set the year off right, a Tao Oracle reading, I'm also offering that. So that would be a card reading where we would have a one-on-one session where I would be working with Tao Oracle and some cards to look at the energy patterns that you're working with right now and how to optimize them for the year ahead, what you can do to really optimize them. Anyway, I'm going to be sending a lot of information about that, but just to let you know that the Way of Joy immersion program has a branch where you can do work with me one-on-one, or you can just work with the community in general. And that's going to include, like I said, live streaming video. It's going to also training videos. It's also going to include that whole Sustain the Flame thing that we're doing on Friday. So that would be included as a bonus. There's a lot discounts that would be happening, and also just a lot of free things that I'm going to be throwing in these next 5 months going into May before I start traveling again. So I hope you join us for that. And like I said, I'm going to just send out an email. I didn't need to get too much involved in it. I'm ready to go into the practices. But I think what I want to do is, again, take a drink of your water. And Bonnie, are you able to just put up that image of the different offers?
I can, and also everyone, there is a link in the chat room for you to click on and find out about Vicky's offers.
Okay, great. All right, well then, so let's not put the image up right now. Let's just go ahead and go into the practice because I don't want to take the time. We have, is anybody have any questions or anything they want to say before we do this, when we are concluding practice? Okay, I'm gonna just take that to a resounding no. So we're gonna start with taking that bottle or glass of water and just putting it near you so that as we practice, it's in your immediate chi field. Not so you're gonna knock it over, but close enough that you can be able to use it, to work with it. So we're gonna start with the 3 gates of enlightenment. I think I need to change the angle of this again. Sorry. No, you'll lose me. What were you saying about technology before technology took over? Okay. All right, so we're gonna stand with the feet hip distance apart. Take a nice deep breath in and let it out. Okay, so we're gonna begin with the hands coming back behind you, circling the wrists and bringing your hands in front of you about forehead level, activating wisdom. Inhale and hold your breath as we contain wisdom. And then exhale, releasing, letting go of anything that tells you you're not wise. And then inhale, drawing energy up from the earth. And exhale, sending energy out, and imagine pushing out in all directions to protect your wisdom, to protect that sense of birthright of knowing in the ways in which you know. Then inhale and exhale, activating your joy. This is a birthright. Babies are born with it until maybe neglection or having it taken away, but they're born with joy. So we're going to inhale and then contain that joy, hold that joy, make it yours. Hold your breath for a moment. And then exhale, releasing anything that would say that you can't have joy. Then inhale and exhale to protect that joy. Breathing in, breathing out, hands coming down in front of you, activating health and wealth. Breathing in up your legs, exhaling down through your arms. Then inhale, bring your arms forward, bring your hips forward, all the way up to vertical, and exhale, integrating into your body that sense of health and wealth, a sense of being able to sustain, to walk your talk. Then inhale, drawing energy up the center line, and exhale, protecting your health and wealth. Breathing in. We're going to do it again. Breathing out, activating wisdom. No breath for just a moment. Then inhale and hold your breath. And exhale, letting go of anything that makes you forget your own access to wisdom. Inhale and exhale, protect that wisdom. Inhale, exhale, activating your joy. Inhale, hold your breath to contain that joy, make it yours, own it. It's yours. Let yourself have it. Then exhale anything that would take that joy away from you. That wonderful fuel of the heart. And then inhale and exhale. Protect your joy. Inhale and exhale, accessing health and wealth. Breathe in up your legs. Breathe out, down your arms. Inhale, bringing your arms up. Exhale, coming down, integrating health and wealth through your whole being. Inhale. Exhale, protect your sense of stability, ability to walk your talk, to be responsible, your ability to respond to all circumstances. Then inhale. And exhale, activating wisdom one last time. No breath. Inhale. Contain your wisdom. Lock into that place. Hold your breath. Lock into your palms and the nape of your neck, top of the base of the skull. And then exhale, releasing anything that doesn't contribute to your wisdom. And then inhale and exhale. And again, this protection is just about emanating out that wisdom, letting yourself take the space to hear yourself think. Then inhale and exhale, activating your joy. Inhale. Hold your breath. Take a moment to feel joy. Take a moment to remember joy. Maybe it was a moment looking at your kitty or your dog. Maybe it was a moment tasting something delicious. Exhale, releasing anything that takes away your joy. And inhale. Exhale, knowing that you have the right to joy, making space to feel it. Inhale and exhale, breathing in, up your legs, accessing health and wealth from the earth. Exhale, releasing what is not useful down your head and arms. Inhale, draw your arms up. And exhale, integrating and bringing in wisdom, joy, health and wealth, and then protecting that bottom gate, wealth and health. And bring your hands to your lower abdomen. Then take a moment with your bottle or your glass, put your hands on it, take a moment to feel that quality. And then drink. And I invite you to have a seat. And we will do the last. Just go ahead and change the view on this. Okay, and we'll go ahead and do the last form, crystal generator. The right hand comes under the left. The front of the right knuckles here, these little pads, you're going to take the back of the left knuckles and you're going to connect them. You want to feel that they're connected here. So that they make a nice solid container, and then the hands come down into your lap. Relax your jaw. Relax the space between your eyebrows. Let's take some time to just breathe into your palms. So what I mean by that is that as you breathe, let your belly and lower back expand. And as you exhale, just imagine sending that breath down into your palms. The main healing energy that happens in the palms, and we're doing a self-healing with this form. Okay, so we're going to take the left hand, comes up the center line of the body. This is a way of saying yes to your life, yes to the different ways in which we become active, and then we become inactive or quiet, and then being able to be both in that receptive and active mode, being able to allow one to move into the other. Okay, then we're going to take the hands right into where the hips and the thighs meet. This is the knife edge of the hands, putting it right here in the crease. And we're going to imagine here that just relaxing your lower back and just letting yourself have a sense of a strong base below. Just like you've cleared the area, you're clearing yourself to become powerful like a crystal. Okay, then you're going to take your hands onto your back. Now remember, your palms are turned up here. Your hands are over your kidneys. Your fingertips are pointing up to the base of the skull. You're creating the structure. This is aligning your crown with your tailbone, and it's creating that structure to be able to sustain the energy that the crystal generator creates in you. So it's that sense of really being able to weather it, to be able to say, yes, I'm ready to own the power of what I have to offer. Okay? And so you want to just have a sense of here that there's a sense of strength in your own spine. Now, for some of you, nobody asked this, but if it is a pain, hurts you to put your shoulders in this position, you can do it here. You can still support your kidneys and adrenals by putting your hands in front. If you can possibly do this without it hurting you, then put it on your back. But the main thing is to do what works for your body. You never want to put yourself in qigong in a place of discomfort. It's not a no pain, no gain system. On the contrary, the more easeful, the better. Okay, so we've created the structure. Now we're going to take the hands and place them on either side of the navel, shaped like a V, okay, on either side, pointing down towards your genitals, because this is all about igniting passion, igniting that part of you that's good to go. Okay, and so we want to have, again, and the squeezing and releasing of the perineum is something that I've added in. It's not technically part of it, but it's a good idea to help wake up. It's basically creating some sexual energy in the lower dantian to be able to really sustain and build the fire, the heat. Okay, so we start with the left hand, and we're going to feed the fire. We're imagining that we've just ignited it, and now we're feeding that flame with everything that nourishes you, starting with the left hand and then the right, bringing in nourishment into that fire that has a pot of water boiling on top of it. And we're wanting to create enough heat that that water is a nice round boil, but not so hot that it spills over and puts the fire out. So we're really looking here at balancing these two alchemical sources. Okay, breathing as you do it, just breathe naturally. Don't worry about in and out, just breathe naturally, whatever feels right for you. And we're going to do it one more time each side, bringing in what feels like it feeds you. Gardening, Stephanie said, bringing in whatever those activities are that you named in your chat. Then we're going to let the palms turn up. This fire and water combined creates steam, which rises up to about throat level. Then your fingers are going to go forward like you're piercing through that steam, opening up the cloud here. And then starting with the right hand, going by the left side of the face, you're taking any of the ways in which you hide and dropping that into the earth where it can compost. The back hand is turned up, right? So we're taking the heaven energy, drawing it down, and taking that to cleanse and move, open up the face. The back hand turns up as the left hand here drops that energy down into the earth. So again, we're taking light. This is number 2, I think, here. And removing the clay, removing any ways in which others project on us, or we hide behind projections that are not accurate to who we are. Just taking that away, allowing yourself to become just fully embracing of your own self. This is such a critical part of the crystal generator to allow us to really sustain the energy that comes once we become a crystal. So this is the fifth round here. Dropping down. As you reach that palm down, the other palm turns up. And you're turning your face, your middle finger is going to brush by your jawline. Just not touch it, just brush by it. Shoulders are relaxed, even though the arms are up what feels like a long time. Please adjust as needed for your own body. Okay, and then we'll turn both hands up and they come up over the head. Interlace your fingers and you're going to press your palm heels together and release the fingers. So the palm heels are tight and the fingers are loose. That corresponds to having sort of a firmness in your mind, but also a flexibility to be able to adapt and change as needed. Now, technically, Lisa asked how long. We hold this for 36 counts. Not 36 breaths, but 36 counts. And then after that 36, we bring it right in front of the throat for 18. And then we finish right hand over the left, over onto the dantian, on the lower dantian, on the lower abdomen, below the navel center. And we just hold this, containing the energy, letting ourselves become like a crystal. So I recommend just doing that once as opposed to more often, although if you decide to join the Sustain the Flame, you'll get training videos that'll allow you to practice, and you can practice it more than once on your own. I don't like it to do it for too long because I find that it's such a powerful form that sometimes you can start to almost blow out your circuit. So the Sustain the Flame, you'll have both the recording of that particular webinar, but you'll also get training videos that I created that are specifically teaching videos for that. And that, again, Sustain the Flame is included if you join the Way of Joy immersion for 5 months, which I hope to do because that would be so fun to continue to see you. So I noticed that I'm just a couple minutes over time, but I just really wanted to take the time to finish it. Last thing we do, drink your water. Okay, so go ahead and put it back for me, if you would, Bonnie. But put it back on the, put the Zoom back on the screen. Thank you so much for flashing that card. I know that we didn't really get to it. So it's been a pleasure connecting with you. Just before we close, I'll just hold up for a couple of minutes. Are there any last minute questions? I see that I've got some things in the chat, so I want to answer any last minute questions. Thanks, Bonnie. Oh, there's something that's very important that I forgot to do, which is to thank people about that have been so helpful for me today. So I want to thank Betty Ann for being my wonderful content marketing person and part of the reason why so many people are here. I want to thank Bonnie for being an amazing assistant and doing what she could to make this as easeful as possible. And I'd like to thank the Way of Joy community. Those of you that are here, you continue to inspire me every single day. And most of all, I'd love to thank Sherry, my wife, my partner, my co-conspirator, for everything that she's done. And I'm going to go ahead and ask you to come join me here, Sherry. So I'm not seeing any questions. If you do have questions, would you unmute yourself? It looks like there's nothing else anybody wants to say. So thank you again so much for joining us. You can expect an email from me soon with a recording. Somebody saying something?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're so welcome. Till next time.
Be well and let the chief love.
Love.
Bye-bye.